Welcome everyone to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Today we have a slight risk of severe thunderstorms for a portion of central to southern plains. Also, we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall from northern Oklahoma into southern Kansas. The near-surface smoke from the Canadian wildfires is going to slowly dissipate over portions of the Midwest today. Other than that, we have mild heat throughout the southeast and northeast with below average temperatures throughout the central and northern Great Plains. Temperatures about average for the rest of the United States, including the west. Here is a look at current satellite. Right now, we currently have a few showers and thunderstorms across the central U.S., broad showers across the eastern U.S. as well. We have some tropical moisture moving into the coastal plain today, but pretty nice weather overall for portions of the western United States. Here is our drought monitor for this week. We have some droughts, some portions of drought across the United States. These solid lines demarcate the areas of greatest concern. Here is our current watches and warnings map. We have a flood watch for northern Oklahoma into southern Kansas associated with our slight risk of excessive rainfall today. We also have air quality alerts where that near surface smoke is currently lingering. Other than that, pretty quiet across the United States right now. Here's our forecast chart, our surface map. We have a broad frontal regime that's sort of stalled out, that's draped across the United States from around Lake Erie all the way down to El Paso, Texas. The stationary front is causing a broad swath of rainfall across portions of the Midwest right now, but we expect a bit of a low-level response from an upper-level disturbance moving its way into the western U.S. right now that caused some of our desert rain yesterday. That is going to move on east, cause a surface response, and lift this front a bit to the north, which will cause our severe weather and flash flooding threat for the central to southern plains. On day 2 tomorrow, the lifted front will sort of stall out once again, bringing the chance or being the impetus of our severe weather threat tomorrow. Broad risk from the central to southern plains all the way to portions of the Tennessee and Ohio valleys over here on the east side. Also co-located here is another flash flooding threat for much of Oklahoma and adjacent states. This front will continue to kind of stall out, and the convection from tomorrow will continue on to the east, bringing a severe weather threat for portions of the southeast from the central to southern plains. Also an associated flash flooding risk there too. Here's our excessive rainfall forecast. Again, slight risk of excessive rainfall for portions of northern Oklahoma to southern Kansas. Over 3 inches of rain is possible in this area. Day 2 tomorrow, slight risk over much of Oklahoma and adjacent states. Currently, the thinking is we get around the same rainfall as today, around 2 to 3 inches for most of this area. Day 3 on Saturday, we have a slight risk that moves on east towards the central to southern Mississippi River Valley over here from southeast Oklahoma. And on day 4, on Sunday, we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for the Red River Valley region. Day 5, broad marginal risk across the southern plains to the southeast. Here's our day 1 convective outlook. We actually got upgraded to enhanced risk just recently. This is primarily for a hail risk and also wind risk for northern extent. Tornado risk also exists 5% for the entirety of this region. So generally an all hazards threat, but mainly we're looking at hail for most of this area. 30% hail risk for the southern dry line extent over here. This includes cities like Lubbock, Amarillo, Midland-Odessa, and Clovis, New Mexico. For the wind risk up here, we expect a little bit more upscale growth up towards where the dry line will intersect with the front. This includes cities like Garden City, Dodge Cities, and Liberal, Kansas. Generally 5% tornado risk all throughout the area. So tornadoes definitely possible, but we're looking at a primary large to giant hail risk for most of this area. Our day two convective outlook kind of looks like a whale. We have primarily a large to giant hail risk for western extent and a broad wind risk that might be upgraded with later outlooks. We'll see about that. But right now, we're kind of uncertain where the greatest wind threat will come to fruition with eastern extent. Tornado risk generally pretty low for this, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get upgrades in subsequent outlooks based on certainty. But currently, our greatest threat is large to giant hail, particularly for areas such as Lubbock, Amarillo, Pueblo, Colorado, and Plainview, Texas. Here's our day three outlook. We have a broad slight risk from the central to southern plains around the river towards the southeastern regions. This includes cities such as Memphis, Charlotte, North Carolina, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Birmingham. This is primarily associated with overnight convection, sort of reinvigorating to the southeastern regions, bringing some damaging wind threats, most likely over here. Looking at our day 4 through 8, slight risk or two slight risks of severe weather from the central to southern plains and also the east coast around the coastal plain to the eastern coastal plain to eastern Piedmont regions. We have this slight risk over here, which will probably be associated with some hail and wind. Over here will primarily probably be a wind threat, but we still have some certainty to iron out, and cities that are included in these risks include DFW area, Amarillo, Lubbock, also on the East Coast, cities such as Raleigh, North Carolina. Looking at our heat risk, pretty mild temperatures across the eastern United States, especially for New England and the southern US around here. Not too much hazards just yet, but we have heat increasing as we get into late week into the weekend, especially for the southern US. Temperatures should reach around 100 degrees throughout this area, with a lot of humidity, of course, expected near the Gulf Coast. But also, we have this heat risk building in the western United States, especially the inner west, the inner northwest in specific, reaching temperatures at around 100 degrees up here. Early next week, we also have heat subsiding in most of the previous areas, such as the south and northwest, but we do have heat building here in the southern basin. Temperatures should reach around the mid to high hundreds by early next week in the southern basin regions. Here is our extended range hazards outlook. Excessive heat for much of the inner northwest, as well as the southern U.S. We do have associated heavy rain risk for New England and into the central to southern plains towards the southeast. This also includes our slight risk on day 4. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from June 10th to 14th. Above average temperatures for much of the northwest, New England, and also the Florida Peninsula. Below average temperatures for the central to southern plains. Here is our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Above average for much of the U.S., with patches of below average to near normal precipitation for the Midwest, Northeast, and West Coast. So looking at our HREF timing, we do have ongoing showers and thunderstorms now in the central to southern plains, a little bit less than modeled here. But as we move on, we will see a reinvigoration of those along the dry line at around 19 to 20 Z, which is around 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time. That will migrate off to the east, bringing our hail and wind threat and possibly a few tornadoes associated with more discrete development. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, it looks like a lot of discrete development along here, so the tornado threat definitely there. But we're primarily, because of the a little bit more meager side of low level response. We do have some sort of low level response because we are getting a lifting of that front, but because of the a little bit meager low level response, we will see sort of a lower tornado threat, but compared to the last few days, the tornado threat is a bit elevated today. So watch out for any discrete cells. They will drop pretty big hail and possibly a few tornadoes. And of course, we can't forget the damaging wind threat. As we move on, we will see the northern mode sort of congeal into a more linear structure, which will transition the threat into more damaging winds overnight. Overnight portions of the U.S., such as Oklahoma, will see impacts from that system, and that system will migrate over to the east and possibly reinvigorate tomorrow for tomorrow's risk. So that is going to be it for today's weather briefing. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and leave a comment if you have any constructive criticism. If you want to keep up with these weather briefings also, please subscribe. And of course, if you want any specific information regarding your area, please refer to your local National Weather Service or broadcast meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.